What is up, Retro Maniacs? Welcome to Short Prints. I'm Mike, that's Joe, and that is EP. And we are here to talk about cards. What are we going to talk about this week? I don't know. Why don't we talk about what is a stack sale? We've been talking a lot about that recently, guys. I had a big one. You guys have been running yours now, and came to my attention that there probably are quite a few people that don't really even understand what that is. So I thought we could take a little time to talk about them today, talk about our experiences with them, and just give people a little bit of an idea what they are and how they can participate in them. I'll get the nuts and bolts out of the way here. A stack sale is usually you have a seller, typically on Twitter. You could find it maybe other places too, maybe Instagram, not Facebook. I don't think that would work very well there. But you have a seller who will offer different groups of cards available for sale. They're typically lower priced cards. Ours run pretty much $50, maybe $2 for a card, but it allows people to claim cards. Like maybe somebody will take a picture of 12, 15, mine were 20 cards per group, and potential buyers can claim the cards they want out of it. So if you collect a certain player, a certain team, something like that, it's a really good opportunity to be able to get cheaper cards, and then the seller can keep a stack of them for you until you're ready to close it out, and you can have them all shipped to you at one time. So you're only going to have to pay shipping on it once. And you really can't go on eBay and buy $1 card, 50-cent cards. If you're buying $1 card, you're paying usually $1 at least for shipping for each card. So if you buy it in a stack sale from a seller, you're able to get 10, 15, 20 cards and pay a smaller shipping amount and get a bunch of cards to you. So that's the basics of how it works. Like I said, I had a really big sale. I ran mine for 2 weeks. It was crazy. Should never do that again. But I had 94 individual buyers that bought stuff from me. So it was really, it's kind of fun. Like, I enjoy it as a seller. From the seller perspective, I think it's a really good way to get rid of a lot of those lower price cards too. Because like I said, you can't really go on eBay to sell a 50-cent card. So Go ahead, Joe.
Oh no, I was agreeing. I mean, yeah, if you sell $1 card on eBay, you've got the 30-cent listing fee. You're getting the 13-ish% of the value of the card plus the tax, the value of the tax plus the value of the shipping is all taken into consideration for that fee. So at the end of the day, you're selling $1 card and you're probably making 20 cents, maybe. I mean, it's just so
EP, get out the spreadsheet.
Get out the spreadsheet.
I had the spreadsheet out earlier. The thing is, it's 22 cents if you charge for shipping. If you do free shipping, and like a lot of people won't even buy those $1 cards unless there's free shipping. And if you do that, you're actually losing money every time on eBay.
Right. So, and I know some people do that to build up their feedback. I get that. But I mean, I've sold lots on eBay, and even that is tough to even get 50 cents a card, 50 cents per card in total value. So yeah, this for a seller, for me, it's been a no-brainer.
Yeah, and it, for the buyer, you can see a lot of really cool cards. Like that's the thing, when you go on eBay, you're gonna be limited a little bit usually in what's offered there because like we said, it's not worth it to sell stuff. So you go on a stack sale. Like I know mine, I had some really cool stuff, and I had a lot of people who commented on how it was fun because they got to see a lot of unique stuff that they didn't usually get to see, and that makes it feel good. And it gives I just like the fact that it gives the buyer so many options. You can sit there. Now you do have to compete with other potential buyers too. So if EP and I both want Derek Jeter and somebody's running a sale, we're going to be trying to get on our phones really quick and claim the Derek Jeter so I can beat EP, because I don't want him to get any of those cards. But it's fun to participate in too. So were there any lessons? Like what were your guys' thoughts having run the sales yourself? Anything that surprised you about doing it? Anything that surprised you about the buyers? Any players that you were surprised you did or didn't sell?
I mean, I'm surprised that I'm surprised, but not surprised that some of my pitchers, like Greg Maddux, some of those really the good pitchers aren't selling, but I mean, they're also not the favorite in the hobby either. So that's one of my things. And I think, like you said to us, that one of the things you need to do is you need to find a buyer. And if you find somebody who is a huge fan of these players, and all of a sudden you got somebody that is probably going to come to every one of your stack sales and buy all your Maddux cards, buy all your Doc Gooden cards, and you just need to find those people. And as you also said, running the sales, doing the sales, and then following people as you go as the way to build that base up.
I was surprised. I sold very few Peyton Manning cards. I was shocked. And I'm talking like second year, 99, third year, 2000. I was really, really shocked at how few Peyton Manning cards I sold. And then on the flip of that, I ran the first or the second week when I ran one, I had someone come in and buy a bunch of random New York Jets cards. So guess what I did for the next 2 weeks? I found more random New York Jets cards, knowing that this buyer is probably going to be interested in those. And sure enough, I mean, if you find someone, I adjusted on the fly a couple of different places. I think, New York Jets, I think Troy Aikman, I was kind of surprised was selling so well. So I added more Troy Aikman into in subsequent sales. So, I mean, you have to be willing to, we don't have, like, Mike has a massive following, EP and I aren't as big. And even Mike's following compared to some of the other major stack sailors isn't as big. So you have to be willing to, when you find a buyer for that specific player or team, the next stack sale, be willing to move some cards out and put some cards in that you think have a potential being claimed by potentially that same buyer.
Yeah, I've had buyers too that like request me to do that. Like they get excited. They're like, "Are you going to have more Greg Maddux in the next sale?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, I'll have that." So like it's pretty cool too. So if you're a buyer, if there's a stack seller out there that you're following, like make sure that you do hit them up and let them know who you collect and ask them to put some more in, and I'm sure they'll oblige. But yeah, like it works really well both ways. You can get to see more cards that you want to buy, which is pretty cool, and then the seller can sell more cards that he wants to sell. So
yeah, I think I just wanted to just going back a few points that you made, Mike, about buyers just seeing cards. Like there are a lot of cards from like the 90s and stuff, like even subset cards that normally like nobody is going to come close to trying to sell those on eBay. Maybe not even on ComC, but you put them out there in a stack sale, and if somebody's looking to complete a set or they're looking for this, if they're a super collector of one player, like this is the only way that they can get some of these cards. They're going to pay 25 cents or 50 cents for these cards, but they're going to have them in their collection.
Yeah.
That's a really cool. I love that part of it. Like that's awesome to me.
It's really hard to even sell a card for $1 on ComC. Like you have your initial per card that you have to pay. What is that? Is that 50 cents, 35 cents?
I think it's like 50 cents. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's 15% when you cash out. So like you're losing quite a bit of it if you sell it on there too. And a 50-cent card you can't even sell. So, it's a great way for, like I keep saying this, but it is a great way for both the buyer and the seller to find some really cool stuff. Like my stuff, I was a little surprised I didn't sell 90 Marvel Universe. Feel like maybe when I positioned it in my sale, if I would have had a little later, I think I had more Marvel buyers later than I did early. And, my sale was kind of too big for people to really go back and look at everything. So that was one of the drawbacks. Like overnight, I would get a ton of claims I had to catch up with in the morning, but really didn't have too many that went back to previous days because everything, I had almost 400 groups total by the time it was done. So people just couldn't go back that far. But yeah, the 90 Marvel U was one of the things I thought I would sell more of, and they didn't.
Because those cards too, I mean, I had them up and I had no one claim them either until some guy came in and asked, well, how much would you want for the whole lot that you have? And then I had some come in and buy a couple here and there. And it's interesting when you get to the random people who you didn't have in the previous week. or for your stack sale, Mike, it was the previous day because you were running it for 7 days a week, but they weren't there the previous week, and then they hopped on and they started plucking stuff up from the previous week from me.
Yep.
So that was always nice, but then I'd have to go back. I'm like, oh wait, was this already claimed? You're going back
Right.
and making sure you're not double selling anything, which ironically, a lot of the cards that I put up, I definitely had doubles, like there was someone would reach out to me then and say, oh, this Barry Sanders got claimed. Do you happen to have one? And I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. I can pull that one and just, add it to your stack. I had a lot of people reach out to me on DM, and I actually reached out to some people as well, asking, is there anything else that you'd be interested in this specific player? Or someone would reach out to me and say, hey, do you have any inserts of this player? And I would just make a sale on the side. I wouldn't even include them in the stack. I don't know if you've had that happen for your ZP or Mike, but it's nice that people have been going back and forth with me trying to, and we have a lot of cards. I mean, Mike obviously way more than us, but we have a lot of cards.
I have a lot of cards.
So it's nice to move some, and then I'll look at the pile and I'll still think, oh, I have a lot more. I mean, I'm gonna have to do this a few times to even put a dent in it, really.
Yeah. I had a guy. I didn't really have the time because my sale was so big. I didn't really have the time to ask people if they wanted more of such a player, but I did have one guy. He only ended up claiming 2 cards and was $1. His total would have been like $2.25, but I noticed they were both Marshall Faulk, and I have a ton of Marshall Faulk cards. I really didn't put many in my sale. I don't that's a weird process we could talk about, but I didn't have many in my sale, and I was like, I might as well ask this guy if he wants to look at some more. He's like, yeah, I'd be happy to. And so I sent him the same way I was doing the pictures for my sale. I sent him on my grid, 3 different groups of 20, and he picked out the ones he wanted. And I ended up selling him 20 cards total. So
wow.
Yeah, it does, work out that way. Like I said, I didn't have much of an opportunity to do that with everybody because I would not have had the time to even keep any of it straight. But in a normal sale, if you run weekly, or some people do a couple posts per day, it's not quite as crazy. I would not recommend doing it like I did it. That was just too much, was way too much. But yeah, I want to what did you find going through your head when you're trying to pick out what cards to put out in the sale? I find that process to be fascinating because honestly, I have everything's in my head. I know who I'm taking out. I know everything. And then when I start sitting down and making up groups, I'm like, I'm not sure if he's going to sell, or, I might so I really kind of second guess myself a lot on that. But how'd it go for you guys?
So for me, I think for me and EP a little bit, we benefited from seeing yours first.
Right.
So,
asking you questions too.
So in my mind, I would have never pulled as much Troy Aikman as I did had I not seen how much it sold for you. But just in general, so when I had been going through my cards and kind of collating everything, I had separated everything out into sets and stuff like that. But I pulled stars, inserts, and rookies, and I just had them in 5,000 count boxes. And then I started to organize them by, John Elway cards, who's another one who hasn't sold hardly at all.
Yeah.
But John Elway, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, and I had just all the stars broken down and with their inserts and with any parallels and their base cards. And I just started going through and be like, okay, I'm going to pull this guy. I'm going to pull this guy. And it was a gut thing for me. I'm like, I think, Barry Sanders is obviously going to sell. I had Marshall Faulk in mind as well. And I would just kind of pull every so often. I'd find maybe an SP authentic. I'm like, okay, that's a high end set. If someone's a Faulk collector, they may like that. So it was a lot of just gut feeling with my stuff. And then I had been on vacation, poor planning for the last two Saturdays of my stack sale. So those I wanted to have themes. That way I knew exactly what I was going to pull. And I just had them set aside, and I could take pictures well ahead of time. And then while I'm on the road, I can still do my stack sale. And it worked out actually really well. I did a chrome night, basically, like every Chrome card. And then tonight, my last night, I'm going to be doing all like low end inserts. So I just kind of pulled those out ahead of time. But a lot of it for me was gut feeling.
For me, I found a lot, actually, a handful of things. I know as I said, I asked my questions. One of the things I asked him right before my first week of sale was like, what are some of the baseball players that absolutely sold for you no matter what that I should make sure I have some of. And I kind of juiced my first set of groups, and like really I had a lot of Cal Ripken, a lot of like higher, like top end type players in there, and I actually did really well that first week. The second week I had less of those kinds of cards just to see how things would go. And then last week I ended up with, I think, more 50 cent like stacks, more 50 cent groups than I had total groups at my first week at all. So it was kind of just kind of mixing things up. And then, tomorrow I hope to have a little bit of a mix again. But what I try to do is I kind of separate some of my cards. So I'm trying to get some of the smaller, lower end players out there as well, but also like higher end players. So like I'll do like 6 or 10 of I'll do like 16 per group. What I'll do is I'll put 10 good ones and like 6 other ones that are kind of more like minor stars, and see what I can do to kind of move some of those as well.
Yeah, I pulled some of those type of, like Jamal Anderson, for example. I pulled Jamal Anderson cards, but only if they were like numbered or inserts or like short prints. Like he has a Topps Finest that's part of the high numbered set. So I put that in for $1, I think, or maybe it was 50 cents. And it got claimed. I mean, I had someone claim any Jamal Anderson I put, and again, wow. I'm not at home, so I couldn't pull Jamal Anderson cards for them specifically. But when I go back, and we'll probably talk about this as well, the actual completion of the sale, and how we mark that down. But when I go back, and if that guy had pulled a couple Jamal Anderson cards and not much of anything else, I may reach out to them and say, just like you did with the Falk collector, hey, are there any other Jamal Anderson cards you're looking for? Let me know, and I can dig through stuff, because he wasn't a player I pulled out of sets. I just if I didn't have inserts of him, he probably wouldn't have made my stack sale.
Yeah, and Jamal, he's one of those players who the stack sale is perfect for. Like if you can find a buyer for them, like that's absolutely perfect. Like it's huge.
Yeah.
Well, you touched a little bit on it. Let's talk a little bit like keeping everything organized. I highly recommend it, whether you're buying, obviously, if you're selling, you have to keep it organized so you know who gets what. But I recommend that for the buyers too. If you're buying from a seller, write down the seller's name, like their group stack number, whatever, however they have it, listed, and write down the card. Typically you're going to have a grid like with like A, B, C, and D, and like 1, 2, 3, or 4 across the top, or some people just do it by claiming the player, by saying the player's name. But make sure you're writing stuff down too, so you know what you're supposed to be getting. Make sure you know too, so you know how much you're spending too, because my sale, I had to give a guy a total at one point because he claimed quite a few, and he was like, I know I got a lot, can you please just let me know how much I'm at now, so I know what I can do. But yeah, I mean, I do it really simple. I think you guys kind of took my method too. I have a notebook. I keep track of everybody's claim by their Twitter username and by the group number, the card number, and I write down a little description of what the card is and the price, and been pretty good. I've only made like 1 or 2 mistakes so far, but yeah. I mean, you have to stay organized. Not for somebody who can't keep organized.
Definitely. Yeah, it's been a little tougher for, like I said, being on vacation, but I plan on when I get back, I'm going to go through each, because for me, I'm going to have probably 75 to maybe 100 lots over the course of 4 weekends. So it's not anywhere near as crazy as Mike's. But I'm going to go through again probably Monday morning when I'm back home, and I'm going to go through each one and redo it. Just okay. It's officially done now, but I've been doing that along the way as well. But again, these last 2 weekends just hadn't worked out. But I do plan on going through, because in some sales, people, I would obviously claim 50-cent cards and then claim $1 card. And then, I had 5 cards for $2, one of those type of offers. So, I had to write that down. And then I had people claim stuff off to the side that, DMing me. So I have to make sure that's all in there. But yeah, if you're not an organized person or you don't have some level of, OCD a little bit, it's going to be tough to run one, because you need to be really focused on making sure, because you don't want to get that bad reputation, right? You don't want it. You don't want to be the stack guy who overcharges or gives you the wrong cards like over and over again consistently. I mean, so you want to make sure you stay as organized as possible.
I am super scatterbrained and disorganized. And I've talked about some of the boxes that, like, open up a box and I've got basketball in there. I got like Star Wars CCG cards in there, like just random baseball, basketball, everything in whatever box, no order, no rhyme or reason.
People love that though.
If they do. I'm when I'm at work, I'm like super disorganized. I got piles of stuff everywhere, but I can keep things in my head pretty well. But one of my benefits that I had from 2012 when I was opening cases is I developed a really good inventory system. So when it comes to selling stuff, my stacks are all set up. Like everything is good there. And Mike, your ID with the notebook is perfect. Like, and I'm like I said, a scatterbrained mess. But when it comes to stuff like this, I'm able to focus and put it all together. And if I wasn't, my gosh, it would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine you, Mike.
I think card collectors in general have to have some sort of level of, because the whole idea of the hobby is collecting pieces of cardboard and organizing them and making sets and buying and trading. And so I think any person who's a collector in the hobby kind of understands they have to be pretty organized in some way. Maybe it doesn't seem organized, but it has its own level of organization, like for that guy.
That's a great point, though, EP. Like, if you're a seller, you need to keep the cards that you're selling organized.
Yes.
Like, the last thing you want to do is to have somebody close out a sale, and then you have to look through just a box of everything. Like, by sale, like I said, I had like 380 some groups all together. I made sure I took the time. I was kind of putting them in like semi order as I posted them into a box. But before, like when the sale ended, the first thing I did was, okay, I went through every one of my groups and I'm like, okay, I got them all. I got card dividers. So I divided them by every 10 groups, and I had almost 2 5,000 count boxes full of cards, but they were in order of the groups that I had them. So when I had to start picking everything out, it made it a lot easier. Now, on a smaller scale for most people, but definitely keep those cards out and in order, because when you go to pick them out to send them, you're going to want them that way. You're going to be really happy that you kept them in order when you have to go back and find stuff. So
I even pulled some stuff off of eBay that I had that were like $4 cards, $5 cards, and I posted those as individual, type, take, or stack if you want to add this for $3 or $4. And then when someone did, I had to remember, now pull it off of eBay.
Yeah. Pull
the card out of your eBay. I have a 3,000 count box or whatever of eBay cards. Now pull it out and put it into the sale. It's a lot of work, but it's also a lot of fun, kind of doing it. And it definitely is, it can be beneficial for you financially too. I mean, cards that you normally wouldn't sell, you're now selling. Cards that I had put on eBay for a year ago that weren't selling, bam, gone into stack sale, easy.
And it could be beneficial for the buyer too, being able to get the cards for so much cheaper with so much less shipping on it too.
Right.
Let's talk quick about closing it out now too. Like, you might be wondering, well, how do I get my cards? Well, typically, I mean, everybody's rules can be different. I think you guys were running them for a month. Mine, since I ran a big sale, all my payments were due at the end of the sale. That unusual, because typically people run smaller sales and then they give you a certain period of time that they'll let you know that you have to close out. It's called closing out your stack, and they'll give you a total with the number of cards, and you'll make payment arrangements. And after they do that, the seller will dig the cards out for you if they haven't already. You get them packed up safely and send them off to you, and you'll be happy. Like, a lot of people have told me how much fun it is too. The people, especially the ones that bought a lot, to get it, and like it gives you that feeling of, ooh, I rooted through this. Or the people who, if you run your sale for a month, like you're buying cards over the period of a month, you don't remember everything you claim necessarily. And keep a list. You should keep a list, but still, when you get that box and you get to go through, oh, I forgot to claim that one.
Yeah.
So like, we all like, that's really one of the most fun parts of collecting, isn't it? Like opening up a box,
1000%.
going,
oh yeah,
what is in this? And you get that feeling when you get your stack brought in.
Yep.
Well, yeah, and to top it off, I mean, it's so much cheaper than buying a hobby box, and you get the same excitement out of it, because it's all stuff you definitely want. And there's, I guarantee you, we sold cards, all three of us, on our stack sales that are worth more than 50 cents or $1.
Oh yeah.
So, there could be some hidden gems. Maybe there's something that someone really wants to get graded. That's an insert or whatever that they got for $1. But, maybe it's a $5 card. Maybe they'll send it off to grade it, or they need that for their collection. It really is. It's more, there's more happiness than opening up a $700 box of hobby, Panini products or Topps products.
I know this. I know this. Yes.
He does know this.
I also like, I'm not sure if we're was planning to cover this or not, but when you get a couple people in your stack that are like conversing with you, and when you say about that's a cool card, and they say that's a cool card or something like that conversation is awesome, and keeping that going and having that going each week with the same people is really a really fun part of it.
It's like you're standing in a card shop.
Yeah,
it really is.
Discussion about it. Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody just pulled your $1 box.
Now, what I did in my sale was I did like to threw some cards that were worth way more than what I had them. Like, I had a lot of dollar cards that were worth a lot more money, and I did sell one out of, I believe it was 2002 Bowman's, one of the Bowman's Best. I think it might have been 2000. They had gold inserts. I don't even remember what they're called, but I sold a Peyton Manning, and it was like probably like a $20-$30 card. Now, it had a little bit of a surface issue to it, so like I wouldn't have felt comfortable selling it for that. But like, the person who claimed that was like thrilled, and like there were multiple people that were like, throwing comments at him and like little jabs at him, playful jabs about getting that and stuff. And like, I had a lot of fun with that personally. Like, I did that, like, that was the one that was probably the most valuable, but like, I know I sold a lot of cards that were probably $5-$6 cards for $1, because I wanted to get rid of them, and I wanted it to be a fun experience for the buyer. And I think they had a lot of fun, but like, pricing is a big thing. Like, don't get greedy if you want to try to sell stuff. Like, I know sometimes some of the bigger stack sellers, like, they get 50 cents for a card that you were like, how'd you do that? But like, it's a unique card, or it's a card they know they have a buyer for. But like, overall, just be reasonable. Don't try to, my card's comping at $2.25. So if it's selling for $2 on eBay, sell it for $1. Like, the whole point is to get rid of it. So,
and like we were saying at the very beginning, like, it's a card that you sell on eBay for $2, because after you get done with all the fees and everything, like, you're better off selling it for $1 in the stack sale anyway. Like, it's it's pretty much the same amount anyway. So
okay, so we'll wrap things up. Since you guys have been doing this for a little bit now, and I've done quite a few myself, what would one bit of advice you could give somebody who might be thinking about having their own stack sale?
I think for me, it's be willing to, like, I guess be willing to come off your price a little bit. Like, I've had people offer, hey, will you take, I think it was Tony Gonzalez cards, right? I had 5 of them and they were in the 50 cent. He goes, would you take $2 for them? yeah, of course I will. You know, like,
Mhm.
and I'm like, oh, I have more Tony Gonzalez cards in previous stacks too. Go get those. I'll do the same thing. I mean, I think if you're, you know, kind of the same thing that you mentioned before, Mike, with the $2.25 comp, you know, like if you're not willing to come off of your price, the idea is to sell cards. The idea is
Mhm.
to make, you know, at the end of the day, make the end user happy too. So, you know, if someone's willing to offer you, you know, something reasonable. Now, if someone comes with it's a 50-cent card and they're like, I'll give you 10 cents for it. It's like, no, that's not, I'm not going to do that. But, you know, if you can tell they're a Tony Gonzalez fan, you know, this was a
Yeah.
Chiefs guy. He has Chiefs stuff on his Twitter account. I'm like, yeah, sure. And if they open up a stack also, if they already have a stack open, be very reasonable with with them too. If
Yeah,
if
that's a
they've
good
been buying
point.
stuff at full price
Mhm.
and they say, oh, hey, maybe can you give me a little deal on it? Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
am much more willing to give the person who wants the dollar card for 50 cents the card for 50 cents if they already claimed 20 other cards than the
Exactly.
guy who just jumped in that doesn't have any claims or has one card and is doing it. Like,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yep. Same here. Like I had that my last sale where I posted a set of cards, and one guy said, "Can I get that for 50 cents?" And it didn't sell until the next time I listed the thing, and I was like, "Yep, you can have it." I'm like, I'm not gonna do it right away, like see if I can get my price, but I
Mhm.
mean, literally every person that has asked has had a stack, and I said, you're building a stack, so yep, you got it. And everyone was usually wasn't the one I just posted. Usually that's
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
flurry of a couple people kind of picking and choosing what they want, but it's they go back and look through a couple. We take 25 cents for this one on a 50-cent stack, and I was like, yep, go ahead and take it. And I think we already touched on a lot of the stuff that I would recommend. Like the organization is huge, and
Mhm.
using something like ComC, where the prices are way, as for like if you're going to price your cards, like their prices are way lower. Like if you look there, you're going to see this card sells for 20 cents on here. It doesn't even sell for 20 cents on here. So that's where
Yeah.
your price should be, like 25 cents or 50 cents. Like don't don't feel like you like. I have one stack where I hadn't logged into ComC, or
Mhm.
one of my sales. I didn't log
I
into
was going to
ComC,
mention that too.
and then
Yeah.
and the price, so the prices were way off, and the prices are going to be way off if you're not logged into ComC. So make sure you have an account. I think it's free to sign up for an account. I think you need to put any money in there, and then you can use that. It's a really good way to look at prices and say, well, this card is selling for 25 cents on here, 60 cents on here, and you can kind of get a kind of gauge like that card. It might sell for, one is sold on eBay 6 months ago, and none have sold since then.
Right.
It's probably not a $1
Yeah.
card.
Yeah. Great advice. I mean, ComC is a lifesaver if you're trying to comp cards for your stack sale. And like you said, make sure you're logged in because the prices are lower if you're logged in. So you see
Their
what
actual
you're
prices.
for.
I'm not sure what the other ones come from when you're not logged in.
My bit of advice, a little different. I mean, make a sale fun. Like
Mhm.
find unique cards, because one of the things I've noticed is people like uniqueness. Like if you have cards of pitchers that are batting, or there's a Greg Maddux
Oh, yeah.
Stadium Club card where he's sliding into second base, that's a fantastic card, and people buy those. Like if you have a baseball player blowing a bubble with bubble gum, like people buy those. Like anything with mascots in them, stuff like that. So like think outside the box a little bit, and when you're looking through cards, look a little farther than the player and the team, and look at the actual card. And if there's something really cool or unique about the card, throw that out there. Like you might be surprised what you'll sell. So
Well, this has been a great conversation, but my stack sale starts in about 8 minutes, boys. So
okay, well that sounds like a really good spot to wrap things up. If you have any other questions, leave us questions and comments. We'd be happy to let you know. And I'm at Mike Sepperduck1 on Twitter. Joe is at JoeDay17821, and at EPCN is EP. Check us out, and you see something there, let us know. Other than that, pretty good chat again, guys. Take care.
Yep.
see you, boys.
See you later.